John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits from up high and low. Cinema Classics.
Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando. It airs Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. Listen to shows and read reviews online at wcbe.org.
I'm John DeSando,
And I'm K G Kline.
and this is Cinema Classics. And not only are we listed as the top 10 of NPR movie review podcasts, you are a new member of COFCA, the Central Ohio Film Critics Association.
I am John, and I have you to thank for helping me get involved with
Yes.
that. And I'm really looking forward to the coming year.
Oh yeah, and we'll be seeing more of your reviews. I love your written reviews,
Well, thank
but
you.
most people know you through our broadcast. And that's just fine, because that's where the meat is of what we do.
Well, and I'll certainly direct them to read the written reviews too. I take a lot of pride in the written reviews, and I think we flesh out some things that maybe we didn't touch upon in our podcast.
Yeah, and that's a good intro to our newest film now, the Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2.
Well, Ken, one of the reasons I asked you here is that you are an expert on Pixar and Disney. Or let's just say you have an inordinate affinity with that organization.
Well, I'm a Disney fanatic.
Yes,
I'm
you
not
are.
going to mellow it out there.
And we about, what, a decade ago?
2015 for Inside Out.
Okay. all right.
2015. The film was in development starting in 2009. 5 years it took to put Inside Out together because it was such a complicated project, and they wanted to get it right. Pete Docter, who is the director-writer of the original Inside Out and Inside Out 2, was just watching his two daughters as they were growing up and seeing that they would go through periods where they would become very quiet and introverted, and he kind of wondered what was going on inside their heads. Why are they suddenly acting this way? And then, with a little help from a PhD at University USC Berkeley named Dr. Kellner, he latched upon the ideas of Kellner's theories of child development, which involves key emotions and core memories that shape who you are to become your own self. And he decided, well, we could turn these concepts into a movie, make these emotions characters. And Inside Out originally started out with a cast of 27 emotions, which they eventually pared down to just the 5 that we saw in the original film.
For the non-nerds who are listening or watching, this is an animation.
Yes, this is Pixar.
Right.
This is not Disney. Well, it's sort of Disney. It's under the Disney umbrella,
Right.
but it is the Pixar that's brought us Toy Story and so many great films.
Finding Nemo.
And Soul and
Well,
so.
let's talk about those
We'll talk during
when
the
we
podcast.
get to the podcast. Yeah. But right now, what's so fascinating to me is that, first of all, the animation is brilliant. The colors are astonishing. The cute little emotions, actually characterizing emotions and having them in some kind of a control room for their protagonist, whose name is Riley.
Riley.
Yeah, and it's just marvelous. I am not sure that even a 13-year-old could process all of what they throw on that screen. But the fact that they dared, John Lasseter and Dr. Lasseter actually attempted to visualize the emotions of a young woman is amazing.
It's the first film was a real step because none of the things that we see in the original film had ever been done before. The idea of making characters that are just individual emotions and staying in that character. So anger is always angry, and joy is always joyful, and sadness is always sad, and they're defined by this one simple emotional trait. and they had to build a character around those, and they made it work beautifully. But this is the most logical sequel that I can imagine. It's a absolute perfect progression from the first film to this one, because we ended up the first film, Riley was 11 years old, so what could possibly lead to a sequel? Well, she's gonna turn 13,
Ken,
and she hits puberty.
this is what I love about these geniuses. Who would dare to depict puberty?
Oh, it's been done many times. S.E. Hinton has done it a few times, but
But in this
yeah,
way.
in this way,
Yeah.
yeah.
And making it so palatable, we can see in Riley, her torment now, and any parent or any parent to be should look at this and see, this is what's gonna happen.
Oh, yes.
What are the
Oh,
characters
yes.
saying, this is gonna be the next several years?
Parents are going to see this movie and immediately connect with what they see and what's going on, and maybe even say, that's why that happened. But yeah, as the film opens, suddenly the puberty button has gone off, and the wrecking balls come in and wipe out the control room, and suddenly 4 new emotions show up. And those emotions are anxiety and boredom, also known as ennui.
Right.
And envy, and what's the other one?
I'm trying to think. Another E somewhere. Yeah, anyway.
But anyway, these 4 new embarrassment, the biggest of them all, embarrassment.
Yes, you're right,
Shows
yeah.
up, and anxiety immediately takes control. And of course, when we start talking about this, the parallels in reality and in everyday life become very apparent. Anxiety shows up, and anxiety starts overruling joy, which was our heroine from the first film, and taking control of Riley. Now, at first, this actually does some good, because with anxiety's help, Riley is able to act a little more mature. She starts making friends with some older kids from high school, and she starts interacting in a less juvenile way. But of course, it isn't long before anxiety starts overwhelming Riley and going too far.
One of the motifs that I love is the interaction between Riley and her 2 friends.
Oh, yes.
And how true to life it is. She forsakes them to go with the smarter upperclassmen.
Yeah. With the high school girls.
Well, yeah, right. The very sharp high school girls. And it causes her stress to know that she's done this to her friends. But she needs to make her life in this hockey. And
well, of course, anxiety is back there in the back of her head, pushing her forward, saying, you need to make changes, you can't be a kid forever. And then you've got envy over there on the side going, oh my God, they're so grown up. I want to be just like them. And these are the little voices in the back of your head that are guiding you and steer you sometimes the right way and sometimes the wrong way, and sometimes in 2 different directions at once.
But it is all so true. And of course, I've had 5 daughters. I have 1 son, fortunately, and 5 daughters. So I know from where I'm coming about the emotional the emotional catastrophes that come once they hit about 13. And I thought that they got that so right. And the nice thing about this is it's not strident. It's just happening.
Yeah.
And she's grumpy. And she just is not being nice to her
She
parents.
suddenly wakes up and says, I'm the worst person in the world, for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
But that, again, is these new voices entering her head
Yeah.
and guiding her in different directions. I love that this film took a very logical progression from where Inside Out left off, and fulfills a lot of the expectations of a child growing up.
Yeah.
It really does a nice job of taking it to the next level. I'm sure that there's going to probably be another film after this one.
Oh, of course there will be. What, John Lasseter was really a genius behind all this, right?
He was
a doctor?
Yeah, well, no, he was not a doctor. He was the founder of Pixar. What's that?
Pete Doctor's right.
Oh, Pete Docter, yeah. John Lasseter was the co-founder of Pixar, but he was not involved really with the creation of Inside Out back in 2009, because he was at that time very tied up with trying to salvage a movie that was about to be canceled called Frozen. And Frozen was in terrible shape. The script was a disaster, and he got tied up at Disney with that and couldn't focus on Inside Out. So Doctor was given more free reign, and they took their time. They went through literally thousands of story designs in this, and as I said, 27 different characters of emotions. Now, the 4 new characters, though, are among the ones that were rejected for the first film. So that still leaves them with 18 more emotions to draw from for the next couple of films.
One of my disappointments in this, if there possibly could be one, is that these characters, and even the new ones, can't be fleshed out. There's just too many of them.
Yeah.
And I would really like to see more of any one of them. Even Anxiety, who kind of dominates a bit, but still, I don't get enough. And Joy is a terrific character, and I want to see more of her. Anyway, I guess that's a standard complaint by somebody like me. And what do I think? That in 2 hours, you're going to be able to look in depth at
Well,
these
and when you
characters?
have an ensemble cast with such great voice talents as you have here,
Yeah.
Amy Poehler from SNL reprising the role of Joy, of course, back, and well, we've got Ethan Hawke's daughter,
Maya Hawke. And let's stop
as
right
the voice
there.
of anxiety.
Ken, let's stop right on her. People have to go to our podcast, which is Double Take, and this is on the podcast experience, if they want to hear more, because we have more coming, including a raft of Pixar movies we're going to talk about. What do you suggest?
Well, I want to point out that what we've described may make some parents think this is a very intellectual, very complicated film that might not be appropriate for an 11 or 12-year-old. You couldn't be further from the truth. This is a very dynamic film. There's lots of action and activity going on throughout the film, both with Riley on the hockey rink and in her mind. So there's lots of fun characters, lots of bright colors, lots of action for the kids. But this is one of those films, one of those children's films, where the parents are going to read something completely different into it. Remember when you were watching the old Warner Brothers cartoons and you had Lenny and George and the kids were thinking, oh, they're just cute rabbits, but you and I knew that that was John Steinbeck. Same thing here.
All right, so you're advising people go and
I'm advising everyone, and if this one doesn't make the $850 million that the first one made, it's only because parents aren't taking their kids to theaters anymore. Stop that, people. Stop being fickle. Take the kids back to the theaters. We all have great memories growing up, going to the movies. They should have those memories too.
I'm John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda